Welcome back to that rugby podcast hosted by the Rugby Booth. Your boy Luke and Husey back again. Look, we've got a lot to talk about. Got a shitload of rugby going on, a shitload of things happening. You've got Super Rugby, the round just being Super Rugby, the round coming up. Talks of expansion into the US with Super Rugby. We had the Under-20 Rugby Championship is live and fucking kicking. Champions Cup semi-finals happened, and the Lions team's about to be named today. Obviously, it's going to be yesterday when this podcast comes out for everyone, but 2 days. So you'll get kind of our pre-reaction. We're literally, 2 hours away from that happening. So it's going to be really good to get your opinion on that as the man facing the beast that is coming to your shores. We'll talk about more about that later. But to start with, Super Rugby last week, look, some big results. We're going to run through them quickly, talk on a couple of points. Blues smashed the Force, as we talked last podcast. Kind of expected. The Force, again, holding into games, but have had a tough travel schedule. Drua upset the Reds in Fiji. And again, we say it's an upset, but in Fiji, mythical things happen. We know that. Hurricanes, going to win the comp, beat the Chiefs. So there we go. Your Waratahs, still yet to work out the code on how to win an away game or even be competitive in an away game. And Moana beat the Highlanders to round out the round and give them a chance at finals. Husey, first of all, let's talk about your Australian teams. Only the Brumbies win, which is over your Waratahs. Force lose, Reds also lose. How are you feeling kind of at this moment as a Waratahs fan and as Australian rugby fan?
We lost outside of Australia. Look, the Waratahs did the best thing they could have done, and they threw themselves on the sword to give the Brumbies a better chance at a top 2 finish. You know, potentially live in the number 1 finish, right? Brumbies have got a nice run home here now. Potentially could come out as number 1 or 2 team. So really they did it for Australian rugby, which is classic Waratahs. I mean, the New South Wales finances Australian rugby. So it's really a very New South Wales thing to do. No, look, what I thought of the game, Joseph Suaalii is a crazy good player, but he's been let down by a lot of supporting cast around him. The game plan is still not great. I don't know. I think the Brumbies have also got McKellar's number from having been coached by them in the past. And the Brumbies just seem to want it more. Like, to be honest, they seem to embrace this game more. And the Waratahs got a big challenge against the Reds this week, defending home territory, whilst the Brumbies travel to Perth. With the Reds in Fiji, look, I have to say, I am becoming less and less of a fan of the Fijian draw because I'm not a fan of the way they play rugby, because they really push the line on a lot of rules, particularly obstruction rules. You know, a lot of people hanging in and about the line. You know, look, I never like to talk about, you know, if this was rugby league, that would be an obstruction. But so many times I was seeing things like, if in league that player would be sent off for interfering in the play that way. It pushes the line for me. And this is coming from the guy that is a fan of the reduced severity of red cards that we're seeing in Super Rugby. So yeah, it feel and then as well they do the tactic that your New Zealand teams like to do as well, by the way, of just diving straight over the ruck, not even like making a pretense of staying on fit. And this is a tactic that originated in South Africa, I will add as well. So yeah, I look, and I'm not, you know, all of this is coming from a place where Fiji was still the better team on the day. Don't get me wrong. It was just not enjoyable to watch. Queensland will be disappointed because they had a really good chance with the Chiefs losing to keep themselves in pace for one of those top 2 spots. Now they're pretty much out of that race. It'd take a miracle for them to finish in the top 2, but they can still be competitive come end of season. And in the Force, look, the Blues have recaptured some magic. They're you know, pushing their way up. They're 1 spot outside of the top 6 right now. And yeah, we all know it's a hard place to play in Eden Park.
Yeah, and I guess yes, the Blues are looking like they're likely to be back into this top 6 race, which I will pay any of those teams a lot of money. When we're talking about Moana, we're talking about the Force, we're talking about you lot, to just make sure the Blues don't make it. I don't know. Blues have got a nice run home as well, and it scared me. When I was looking at their run home, I was like, fuck. They go away to the Drua again. This is a big game for them, because
this would be the one game where I'd be okay with the Drua playing the way that I just complained about. You know, this like, hey, go for it. Absolutely. Do they play they've already played the Crusaders this and who else?
They literally have the Drua, Moana, which is pretty much a home game because it's in the same area, and then host your Waratahs, which we know you can't win away from home. So I go, if they win this game against the Drua, you'd back them to win the last two, and they finish 7-7, and you all of a sudden go, fuck, they've made the top 6. Look, again, a lot can happen. Moana's playing good footy. I'm really excited to see how they finish the season. As we talked about, Adi Savia, potentially best player in the comp. He needs to lift this team into the finals. He has an opportunity to do that. Your Waratahs not out of it. Again, a game behind Moana and the Blues and my Hurricanes. So you've still got an opportunity there to make
and with one less game played as well.
Exactly. That's what I meant by big game behind. Sorry. But yeah, so you've got an opportunity to catch everyone. Look, for my Hurricanes, we beat the Chiefs. Chiefs are top of the table. We beat the Chiefs. I've said it. I said we can beat every team in this comp, bar Crusaders and Blues. They didn't have Damien McKenzie. I will give the Chiefs credit there. It's a different game when they've got Damien McKenzie. I'm not going to lie about it. Our Hurricanes, we're rolling. We are rolling. We are on a fire. Look, we host the Highlanders, go away to the Reds, host Moana Pacifica. So 2 out of those 3 games, we win 2 out of those 3 games, we make the finals. All we have to do is make the finals, and then we can at least control our own destiny to a point. Yes, we'll be going away to teams, but we're showing we can beat teams on the road. We're showing we can do a lot of good work outside of Wellington as well. So, again, as we go into this week for Super Rugby, it's a big week. Only 4 games, though, but a really big week. As we talked about, Blues play the Drua. You play the Reds. Both teams kind of need to win that. Reds need to win it to get that momentum back that they had. Waratahs, if they want a chance of making the finals, need to win it. Crusaders versus Chiefs, top of the table clash. Again, this has implications because in the fours play the Brumbies, and if the Brumbies win, as you said, if Crusaders and Chiefs lock horns and there's a tight tussle, Brumbies could jump on the loser there, overtake them. Fours have to travel again all the way back to Perth. Some big travel commitments from them. So it's going to be a tough game for the Fours to come out on top. Look, one question for you, mate. Queensland, New South Wales Derby. What's going to happen? You've got the game at home. I need to know.
Look, I don't know about the result. What I do know is that Joseph Suaalii is going to have a big game and continue his push to establish himself as one of the best players in the world. I know that for certain. Looking at this Waratahs team, that's all I can say for certain. Look, a whole bunch of changes for this Waratahs team. Crichton has been benched, and Tane has come back into the starting 10 jersey. Interesting to see how it goes. You know, as much as I was pulling for Tane early, you know, regardless of that, just the consistency of like having a starting 10 throughout the whole season and then just sort of pulling him, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Hugh Sinclair, not on the team, I think just being rested. I'm not aware of any injury, but I could be wrong. Tom Lambert's back, which is great. Mahe Vailonu's back, which is great. Charlie Gamble was back, which is great. Always brings the passion whenever he plays. Yeah, it's a really big bug of a week for me. Like, I just don't know what we're going to see. I don't know when Max Jorgens is going to be back as well. Like, he's a huge tone setter for this team as well. And that's not saying that Kellaway and Tristan Riley or Darby Lancaster have done a bad job by any means, but Jorgensen's just a step above, you know, and he is a better defender than either of those two as well, I'll say. Like, and they're not shoddy defenders either.
Still yet to lose at home, so
there's that as well. But you know, this is Queensland. They always bring the heat against New South Wales, so we'll see.
Nice. Quickly, just wanted to touch on New Zealand Rugby CEO has come out and said that there are discussions to talk about expansion of Super Rugby into the US.
Yeah.
Again, nothing finalised, nothing on the books, nothing official, but discussion point. And I'm interested to hear your opinion. I have an opinion of it, but I want to hear your opinion first.
Well, whatever Super Rugby franchise is in the US, we know they're going to have a lot of money. You know, like the US just throws money at sport. Like the amount that, like, I think one NFL franchise is worth more than the entirety of Super Rugby, right? So now, obviously, you're not going to have an NFL franchise's level of funding, but whatever they'll look at what all the other Super Rugby teams are costing, and they'll be like, yeah, easy. We'll do that for one team easily. We'll probably spend more than that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them recruit a lot of talent. And then there's also a chance for these players to go over and live in the US as well. Like, that is a big draw card too. Don't get me wrong. And then, like, this might be, you know, one of those situations. Like, we've had that expansion in Japan. didn't work out. Had the expansion in Argentina, I think it did work out. I just think the league needed to contract for other reasons. I would still love to see Argentina, and I think if you did a double expansion where you had a US team and an Argentinian team, then at least those two teams are in the same time zone when they play each other. Yeah, I'm always a fan of expansion, especially into other markets, getting more eyes on the game because that's what pays the bills.
Yeah, 100%, and I totally agree with all those points, and that's the fanfare around it. I understand the idea behind it. I guess my only there's two issues I have. Is the first one, we want the league to be competitive. The past this year especially, there hasn't been a 70-0 blowout. Like, you've had the 50-20 games, but you didn't see the 70 to even just about 100-0 blowouts that we saw when Japan Sunwolves were in. A couple of those lower seeded teams were in. So I go, we will still want this to be competitive, which I think they can do it. As you said, I think if it's slow expansion and we don't just add like 6 teams all of a sudden, we can do it and they can make that justifiable. And then the time constraints, the actual time commitments, the travel, does that create a better league? Does that create a more enjoyable league? I'm not sure. And that's what I'm sure they're starting to work out there. But for all the reasons that you just mentioned, the money, the actual growth into a US market where I think you could have a really good product, and with, I think, a product at the moment now that is performing and showing what it can do. And, this doesn't have to be the now thing, but in 2 years, if we go, yeah, look, we can start to lay out the plan. I could see this happening. I can see the value behind it. It just needs to be done right. And that's my thing. It's like, I hope they don't rush into this decision and go, we need to expand just to expand. We've got a great product now. The money draw card, yes, but we've got to show that product is going to also make their money in the long run as well.
Yeah, well, this might be a case where we could start to see less players taking trips to France and Japan as well, instead go to play for this US Super Rugby franchise as well, if it's got the cash, for the players that want to go overseas. And then it keeps it within the Super Rugby system as well. And then there's potentially, that gives it a loophole to, Giddo law or, the Barrett law for you folks in NZ. We'll see. I think then that way it does offer that potential pathway for those players. And look, there's a lot of Australian players that, were part of the Melbourne Rebels systems. They've spread to the other teams. We had 5 Super Rugby teams for a while. There's a few players here that could, like Darby Lancaster is a bench winger. We know that he is a starting capable winger, right? We know there's the talent there for him to do that, but he's behind 3 other wingers in the New South Wales system. He's only on the bench this week because Max Jorgens is injured, right? Like, he might not even get a look in otherwise. So, there's opportunities for players like that, plus some local US talent, plus some other foreign talent as well, potentially from other countries that can go over to the US and play, might give them some more opportunities. So, yeah, look, but you're right. You can't just go and do it for the sake of doing it. And, what we said from Super Rugby this year and, from Rugby Australia as well, just from Rugby Australia perspective, is a lot more thoughtful and considered and careful leadership. They've putting the game back into a good place, and I'm sure they want to keep that going. And, they just have to look at what they've been doing and, learn from their mistakes, but also from their successes. So, yeah, look, fingers crossed it works out, because I think it'd be exciting for Super Rugby.
100%. Great. Under 20 Rugby Championship. Look, we drew.
Mm-hmm.
We called it evens. As I said before,
gentlemen's.
Before the show, fucking ginger cunt kicked a lovely
Sid Harvey
conversion to draw. He's a pretty special talent, that Sid Harvey.
Yeah,
there's a few in that Australian under 20 team that we'll be hearing their names in bright lights, either for you guys or for France. I mean, either way.
he set up the last try and then converted it, which was pretty special. Yeah, and Sid Harvey. Look, tell you what, us Australians, we can produce some outside backs. I tell you what, it's the rest of the positions we need to start getting as good at as outside backs. Particularly in halves, we need some good half-like talent coming out there. But it's then after tying with you lot. And I want to highlight as well, South Africa beat Argentina by 9 points. You lot then went on and just dog-walked Argentina 75-21, whilst we went in and beat South Africa again, towards the end of the game. Again, Sid Harvey providing the goods, and helping Australia to another victory there. Look, yeah, this kid is making a legacy for himself out of this one tournament. And now you guys are going to play South Africa, and we're going to play Argentina, and it's we'll see how we go. I mean, I think if you guys win your game, you've won. I don't think there's any way that Australia could take a you win, but that is a big if. You have to beat South Africa.
Yeah, and the tournament's hosted in South Africa, so which makes your win even more impressive. And the fact that you were down 17-0 at one stage and to come back and win it. So impressive stuff from the under-20 Wallabies. But yeah, it all comes down to this last week, a big week again. Ourselves, South Africa, and you guys have an opportunity to win it. So exciting times in the under-20 Rugby Championship. Champions Cup Rugby.
Well, I don't know. Well, just one thing I want to pull out here. All right. Do you know who Australia under-20's worst record is against?
Argentina.
No, New Zealand. No, sorry, England. Our second worst record is against New Zealand. Our third worst record is against Argentina. We're only won 3 and lost 5 against Argentina under-20. So it is by no means a foregone conclusion.
Totally, exactly. I think, the result from last week against the Junior All Blacks just stands out, and you think, if you drew of us, we beat them by 50, mathematics would say the stats point in your favour. But again, we could have just got them at a bad time. Again, this under-20 team just could have been on fire after having to deal with a draw against Australia. So, yeah. But Champions Cup semi-final rugby was on. I don't know if you actually got to see it, but Northampton played Leinster. And
I saw some of the end of the game.
Yeah, one of the better games I've ever watched. It was a great showing. Got an opportunity to see Sam Prendergast versus Finn Smith. We got an opportunity to see Henry Pollock do his stuff. The big talking point was Geordie Barrett starting on the bench. Obviously, this Leinster team is coached by Yarks Ninebar, or has Yarks Ninebar in the setup as well. So you kind of go, you would think that Irish kind of favouritism went out of it, but a weird decision to do that, and then they brought him on after 50 minutes. I definitely think he made an impact when he came on, but the game was already kind of in the balance, and the fact that Northampton were able to stay in it, they stayed in the fight and won the game. There's a couple of nervous feels going on around English rugby at the moment because Finn Smith is fucking good. He's fucking good. But Henry Pollock is out of this world as a number 7. And to be 20 years old and doing the stuff that he was doing in a semi-final in Leinster, in Dublin, against a team that is basically an all-Irish team with R.G. Snyman and Geordie Barrett, I just sat there and I went, what the fuck is happening? Now, Northampton were great. The way they attacked was fantastic. Alex Mitchell and Finn Smith, that combo is really, really good. That's the combo. I know we're going to talk about the British Irish Lions after that, but that is the combo I would be starting at 9 and 10 for me if I was Farrell, because of the way they just played in that game alone. Those two, the combo is just perfect for the halves. I know you're a big Marcus Smith fan/hater, like fan as in the point and you get scared of him, so you dislike him. But I honestly think that should be the 9 and 10 after watching. And again, Jamison Gibson Park, I think, is one of the better 9s in the world. Would he be starting for New Zealand? No. But again, he is one of the better 9s in the world. I still think what I saw from that performance, and it wasn't like he did anything wrong, and I don't know if this is me dogging on Sam Prendergast and the Leinster setup, but yeah, I would definitely be going Alex Mitchell and Finn Smith for my 9 and 10 if I was to select. If I was selecting my team for my British and Irish Lions team to play you guys, that's who I'd be starting at 9 and 10. But yeah, so that was the first semi-final. Then you had Toulouse and Bordeaux in the other semi-final. 2 French teams. Toulouse, obviously one of the better clubs in the world, one of the more known clubs in the world, historically very, very good, very strong. They went in, they were winners last year, played Leinster in the final. So you kind of had this France versus Irish feel to it as you kind of go into these games because Leinster's so good and so is Toulouse. Bordeaux just came out of the gates flying. And again, how much will be made that Toulouse missing their main man with no Antoine Dupont, but Bordeaux are just looking like a team hell bent on taking everything and anything with it. Best attacking team in the comp, as far as I know. They got their old winger with the headgear. I'm going to try and pronounce the name. Louis Bellybrew. I butchered it.
I'm not going to even try.
But him with Pinot, they've got Jalbert, they've got a list of French stars plus more. Your man, I say your man because you're an Australian, Pete Samu, running cutters out the back with the number 8. Yeah, he's looking fantastic. I don't know if he qualifies under Ghetto law, but again, I always think if you're playing in the French league, you're playing in the toughest league in the world. If you're helping take a team to the finals in the rugby, the Champions Cup, you're doing something right. Pistol Pete definitely up there. There was more Aussies even in that Northampton side. I've forgotten his name. Who was the Josh Kimini was in there? There's a couple others. Yeah, Josh Kimini looked really, really good. He got yellow carded for a hit that was high, but other than that, he looked really, really good. I think there's about 5 or 6 that have made this final that are from Wallabies or Australia originally. So it'll be interesting to see how that that idea and how that floats around again, Joe Schmidt in this British and Irish Lions series, because Samu was fantastic for Bordeaux as we head into that final, which will be a fantastic final. England against France. It's in Cardiff. I am very excited to see who comes out on top in that one. Last part for today. We've got the Lions team being named in just about 2.5 hours my time. My time, everyone's time in 2.5 hours, but I think it's 1:30 British summertime. What are your top of your mind? What's your thinking? Are you interested in any players? Is there anything that stands out, has stood out as we run into this?
Just how much everyone's been slagging off the Welsh. You know, I think that's probably going to be everyone's question. And I think this could be really something that the Australian media, to do their part, could hammer on. All right. Say if a Welsh player gets picked, have they been picked just to maintain that there's players from every country, or do they actually deserve their spot? Now, that's a great way to sow division in the team before they come here, right? It's a great way to isolate that player and also create a toxic locker room, you know? And then if no Welsh player is picked, you just hammer that point as well and just say, well, it's not really the British and Irish Lions. You have one whole country not represented. I think it presents a fantastic opportunity for the Wallabies to play some mind games. This is where Eddie Jones would thrive, actually. Like, he would be coming up with concepts I couldn't even grasp to get in the heads of these players. Maybe we can get him on in an analyst role for the for the series. Just purely to mess with the Lions.
Shit stirrer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, head shit stirrer. Yeah, that to me, I think, will be really interesting because, as I said, that is it's a historic question. I mean, the British and Irish Lions things are always historic. The rest of it, I am less interested, to be honest. What I'm more interested in what Wallaby squad Schmidt will pick. You know, especially now that he's had his extension, he's going to have long with them. This series isn't his pure be all and end all focus. You know, he'd already extended to the end of October or something this year, I think. But, you know, now he's even looking beyond it till next year. So does that change his approach? Does it change the Lions' approach to this series, knowing that Schmidt is going to be there in a more stable environment? The thing about the British and Irish Lions squad is that there is, excepting of course Wales rugby, there is just such a wealth of talent for there to be picked. So for me, it's kind of like, you know, there's not much point worrying about who's going to be in the squad, because whoever's in the squad is going to be one of the best players in the world, you know, at their position. Like, whoever gets picked, it's not going to be better or worse for the Wallabies, because they're going to just still be going up against incredible players. So I'm more interested in, and I think this should be Australian rugby's attitude as well, I'm more interested in which of our players are going to be picked and where they're picked. I'm very excited because there are some very special players that get picked for the British and Irish Lions squad. But then we have Joseph Suaalii, right? And I might be very one-eyed in this, but every time he gets his hands on the ball, you sense something can happen, you know? Like, he He's bigger than other players. He's faster than other players. He's just, to put it colloquially, he's just built different from other people. You can sense it when he has the ball, when he's running through people. Is he plus some of our other special players? Is that enough to make up? And is the game plan going to be enough to make up for some areas where we're deficient? Can we play effectively? Like, what does year 2 of Schmidt look like, of instilling these values into Australian rugby? We've already seen an elevated standard of Australian Super Rugby this year. We saw last year gradual improvements as the year went on under Schmidt for the Wallabies. Is that going to continue? So those are the burning questions in my mind, because sort of the Lions, for me, are sort of a known quantity. Even though we don't know any of the players are going to be in that team now, because the team just hasn't been revealed, it almost doesn't matter in a way, because they are going to be just that good.
Yeah, interesting, and again, topic. I wonder, you wouldn't think so, but Joe Schmidt will obviously be watching this reveal and knowing what's going to happen, and I wonder if that'll tailor what group he starts to pull together. My assumption, as you said, I think Wallabies will already kind of know where their direction they're heading and what they want. Your point with Sueli, I think, and it's crazy to say because you'd consider Will Jordan pretty athletic, but to me he looks like a more athletic Will Jordan, if you know what I mean. And that's crazy to say when we're talking about like probably the best All Black 15 at the moment. You don't often go, oh, there's this really other athletic beast, but it does. It reminds me of a slightly skinnier Israel Folau. And again, I think he'll slowly start to fill some more of that frame out as he grows. But
yeah,
I just go, he's special. That try he scored on the weekend, again, the things he's already done in such limited amount of rugby at that level, is just insane. And it'll be interesting. I know he's played now a few games for the Tars at 15. Where has your thought process changed on where he goes for the Wallabies?
I mean, I think 15 is his spot because he gets his hands on the ball more. I think I would just definitely wouldn't put him on a wing because he doesn't get his hands on the ball enough on the wing. I think fullback gives him the freedom that he needs. I think Tom Wright can still thrive on a wing. He's a creative enough player on the wing that he can still have success there. Like Jorgensen one wing, Tom Wright another wing, Suoli'i fullback is a hell of a back three. And then you've got some great centers to pick from. Ikitau, Karevi, Fiketti, Fluke as well. I think Harry Potter's got to make his way into the team somewhere. He's having a hell of a season. So like Tazano thrusting his way into the back row conversation. Harry Potter's having a good enough season to put himself in line for a winger spot. You know, I think the back three Australia's got like a super, super strong position. But what I'm afraid of is and what I've seen from a lot of mock team lists is Tom Wright at 15. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Tom Wright is a great number 15. He's a great fullback. I just don't think he's as good a fullback at the international level as he is at Super Rugby level, you know? Whereas I think Suoli'i is, you know, and I say that without having a shred of evidence to back it up because Suoli'i's never played fullback for the Wallabies. But just seeing how much he's improving in rugby already it wasn't like when he played for the Wallabies last year was bad by any means, but we've seen him just get better and better as the season's gone on, having more and more of an impact. Like, yeah, I'm afraid of being too conservative. I would like Schmidt to really look at who's having the better season as a player, and I'm worried that the Waratahs as a whole will bring Suoli'i's stock down when he himself has been fantastic. I think the Max Jorgensen injury has been a really bad one for the Waratahs, to be honest. Like he is, and I'm really worried that might cost him a Wallabies spot as well, which I really hope it doesn't because he is such a good player and he was having such a great season before he got injured. Those are that's what I'm concerned about. You know, the 9 and 10 conversation will shake itself out. I think Tate McDermott will have the 9 jersey. Whoever has the 10. I think it's between probably Tom Liner and James O'Connor at the moment. And then, you know, the forward pack there's talent and depth there that we can plumb into. So, yeah, I just want us to not repeat the mistakes of 12 years ago when we kept Israel Folau on a tighter leash and had him on a wing, and he wasn't able to have a major impact in the series. So if Suoli's not to be at fullback, then a center, because he'll get his hands on the ball more there. But just please God, don't put him on a wing.
And final question for you: if you could guarantee one player wasn't coming from this British and Irish Lions tour, so you could take one person over. You say you veto, Farrell can't select him. Who are you Xing? Who are you kind of most feared to come over to here?
Ellis Genge, because what he can do in a scrum. He's just,
I like that. Take away a prop. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Where's the game one, Husey? It's one up front, mate.
Absolutely. But you see him in a scrum, and particularly against Wallabies, he's just a wrecking ball. And we've got some good props, but he's just a wrecking ball at scrum time. And that is such a big area of the game, especially against Northern Hemisphere teams when the games are so narrow and tight. Like, just giving away possessions, giving away penalties at scrum time, you just can't have it. So, yeah, I'd take away Ellis Genge.
Love it. All right. Well, 2 hours, just over 2 hours. You'll see what squad is coming over, as we assume Genge will be in that on that plane, as unfortunate as it is for you. For now, I've been Luke. That has been Husey. We'll come back again next week, run you through everything that's gone down. Thank you. See you later.
Peace.